ever feel like you're stuck in the matrix,
Okay.
questioning what reality even is?
Yeah.
Well, our deep dive today isn't about red pills or blue pills or anything like that.
Right.
But we're going to explore how Buddhist thought, especially the Surangama Sutra, tackles this whole question of what is reality.
And what's so cool is it's not just like some abstract philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
The Surangama Sutra is really like a practical guide to like figure out how we experience reality every day
Yeah.
and how our minds can kind of trip us up.
Totally. It's not just this like far out concept. It's like it's about understanding the reality we're experiencing right now
Yeah.
in our everyday lives. And to help us like break it all down, we're going to dive into excerpts from the sutra
Okay.
that are translated and explained by Charles Luck.
Charles Lick is the best.
Yeah.
He's such a good translator for this.
Oh, he's amazing.
He like cuts right through all the jargon
For sure.
and makes these ideas really, really clear.
So before we get too deep into it, what is the Surangama Sutra really even about?
Okay.
What's the main message?
The Surangama Sutra basically says that like what we experience as reality isn't always actually accurate.
Okay.
It's kind of like looking through a distorted lens.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we see is colored by, all our senses and our desires and really like our minds.
So you're saying our senses can like deceive us?
Yeah.
I thought seeing was believing.
You would think so, right?
Yeah.
But the sutra says that even our sense of self, that feeling of like me
Yeah.
separate from everything else, is actually an illusion.
Oh.
It uses this metaphor of foreign dust to talk about the ego.
Foreign dust. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this foreign dust thing.
So imagine a traveler just passing through an inn.
Mm-mm.
They stay for a little while.
Right.
They're not a permanent resident. They come, they go.
Right.
That's kind of how the sutra describes the ego.
Okay.
Like a temporary guest just passing through the inn of our mind.
So you're saying our sense of self isn't this like
Yeah.
fixed, unchanging thing.
Right.
It's more fluid.
Yeah, more like temporary. Yeah.
And temporary.
Mhm.
It's like we cling to this idea of who we are,
Yes,
but the sutra is saying maybe we shouldn't be so attached.
exactly. Because that clinging to this false sense of self is actually like the root of a lot of our suffering.
That makes sense. If we're constantly chasing after things for a self that isn't even real,
Totally.
no wonder we end up unhappy.
Exactly.
So if our sense of self is an illusion, then like what's really going on here?
Okay.
What is consciousness, even according to this sutra?
So this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The sutra really digs into the nature of consciousness, and it outlines 7 different levels.
7 levels. Okay, that's a lot.
Like,
What are some of the key differences?
So like for today, we're going to mainly focus on 2,
Okay.
the 6th and the 7th consciousnesses.
Okay.
The 6th one is basically what creates our everyday experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's that part of us that's always judging and categorizing and saying like me versus everything else.
Right.
You could say it's like the main culprit behind that illusion of a separate self.
So the 6th consciousness is always drawing lines in the sand,
Yes.
creating separation where there might not actually even be any.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the 7th? What's that one doing?
The 7th is very interesting.
Okay.
It's considered the root of our clinging to a self, even when we don't even realize it.
Okay.
Imagine like a deep-seated belief that's always kind of there under the surface.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
The sutra says that our true consciousness, it calls it the true mind,
Okay.
is actually independent of all that mental chatter.
Oh, wow.
It's permanent. It doesn't change. It's always there.
So it's like this deeper level of awareness beyond our everyday thoughts and perceptions.
Yeah.
But how do we tap into that?
Yeah.
If it's buried under all these layers of illusion, how do we get to that?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And the sutra does give us some guidance.
Okay.
One key idea is this idea of turning backward the senses.
Turning backward the senses? Okay.
You know, it sounds kind of weird.
What does that even mean?
It's actually not as weird as it sounds.
Okay.
So think about it.
Okay.
We're always getting all this information from the world around us.
Right.
Our senses are like pulling us outward.
Yeah.
They're trying to like grab our attention.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
It's like my phone is like a direct line to my senses.
Totally.
It's always buzzing with something.
That's exactly what the sutra's talking about.
Yeah.
Turning backward, the senses means shifting our focus inward,
Okay.
away from all that external stuff.
Okay.
It's about like turning our attention to like what's happening inside. our thoughts, our feelings,
Close,
and
Kristen.
our sensations.
So instead of like getting lost in Instagram,
Yeah.
we should be paying more attention to like what's happening inside our own minds.
Yes.
That's kind of radical.
It is kind of radical.
Yeah.
It's about breaking free from our senses' grip on us.
Okay.
The sutra says that when we cultivate awareness of our internal experience, we start to see through the illusions
Yeah.
that cloud our perception.
Okay.
It's like cleaning a dirty window.
Right.
Suddenly everything is clear.
I like that.
Yeah.
But okay, so if our senses are deceiving us
Yeah.
and our sense of self is an illusion,
Right.
then what is actually real? Like,
Yeah.
what is this reality
So
that the Surangama Sutra is pointing to?
the sutra talks about something called the Tathagata store.
The what store?
The Tathagata store.
Okay. I'm going to need some help with that one.
Okay.
What does that even mean?
Okay, so...
And what does it have to do with me scrolling on my phone?
okay, good question.
Yeah.
So think about it like this.
Okay.
Imagine a drop of water.
Okay.
That water can freeze into ice.
Mm-hmm.
It can evaporate into steam.
Right.
It can be part of a river
Yeah.
or a pond.
Right.
You know, it takes on all these forms.
Yeah.
But it's still fundamentally just H2O.
So you're saying all the different ways water can be
Yeah.
are like the illusions we experience.
Yes.
And the underlying H2O is like this Tathagata store.
Exactly. The sutra is saying that everything we think of is like separate and solid.
Okay.
Ourselves, the world, our thoughts and feelings,
Yeah.
all come from this one underlying reality, the Tathagata store.
Okay, so it's not that the things we experience aren't real,
Right.
but it's more like they're just one way that something much deeper shows itself.
Exactly. It's all connected, like a web.
It's like that saying, we're all connected.
Yes.
I always thought that was kind of cheesy,
Yeah.
but maybe it's true.
The Surangama Sutra says it's true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the sutra uses all these stories and analogies to explain this stuff, right?
It does, yeah.
What about that story about the king?
Oh, yeah, King Ajatashatru.
He was like really worried about getting old, right?
He was obsessed with aging and death.
And I'm guessing the Buddha had something to say about that.
Of course.
Yeah.
The Buddhas used the king's own experiences to challenge him.
How so?
He asked the king if he remembered the Ganges River from when he was a kid.
Okay.
And of course, the king had aged since then,
Right.
but his seeing of the river hadn't.
That's a good point.
Right.
So the Buddha was saying that our bodies might change,
Yes.
but our ability to see, to be aware, that doesn't change.
Exactly. Our true nature, our true mind.
Oh, right.
It's beyond all those fleeting experiences.
That's a great example.
It is.
And it seems like the sutra loves using these analogies
It does.
to make these big ideas easier to understand.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of analogies, what was that one about the guy with eye problems?
Oh, you mean the one about the man with inflamed eyes?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one's a classic.
That one was good. It was. The sutra says there's this empty pitcher, right?
Right.
With openings on both sides. And if you seal it up and like move it around,
Yeah.
does the emptiness inside go from one side to the other?
Well, obviously not.
Right.
Emptiness isn't limited by physical space.
Exactly. So the sutra is using this to show that maybe consciousness is like that too.
Yeah.
Like it's not stuck in our heads.
It might be way more like fluid and interconnected than we realize.
That's wild when you really think about it.
It really is.
The sutra makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about consciousness.
Yeah, and it doesn't give all the answers either. It's
Yeah.
more like it's just making us question.
It's like a roadmap to new ways of thinking.
Exactly.
And it uses those stories to get us there, which I love.
The stories are so powerful.
They really are.
Yeah.
Speaking of stories, we were talking about turning backward the senses as a way to get past all these illusions.
Yep.
Are there any stories in the sutra that show us how to do that?
For sure. The story of Matai Gon is a really good example.
Wait, wasn't she,
She was a courtesan?
right, a courtesan?
Yeah.
Not exactly who you'd expect to reach enlightenment?
You wouldn't, but she did. Through practicing mantras,
Okay.
she focused her mind, let go of all her attachments,
Interesting.
and she became enlightened.
Wow, that's amazing. So enlightenment isn't just for monks on a mountaintop.
Right.
It's for everyone. Anyone can do it.
That's the message of the sutra, yeah.
I love that. So it's not about like cutting ourselves off from the world.
Yeah,
It's more about how we see things.
exactly. It's about shifting how we relate to our experiences.
Instead of always wanting more,
Yes.
we can find peace within ourselves.
It's about recognizing the power of our own minds.
So true. And this leads to like this other mind-blowing idea from the sutra.
What's that?
That even time and space, which seem like such basic parts of reality,
Yeah?
might actually be part of the illusion.
Whoa. Okay, so time and space are illusions.
That's what the sutra is
I
suggesting.
mean, that's a big claim.
Right.
That changes everything.
It really does.
How can we even wrap our heads around that?
It's a lot to take in, that's for sure.
Yeah, it makes you question, like, what is real?
It makes you wonder about, like, cause and effect, free will.
Right.
Like, all these big questions.
It really does.
And you know what? The sutra doesn't give us all the answers.
It doesn't, no.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
It gives us the questions.
Exactly. It's just the beginning.
It's like it opens a door
Yes. And it's up to us to explore.
to this incredible mystery of our own minds
Exactly.
and the nature of reality itself.
So cool.
This has been amazing.
It has.
So many things to think about.
I know. I'm going to be thinking about this for a while.
Me too.
Yeah.
To everyone listening,
Yeah.
if you want to explore these ideas more,
Yeah.
Charles Lick's translation is a great place to start.
Definitely. It's a fantastic resource.
Well, that's it for our deep dive today.
Wow. Time flies when you're exploring the nature of reality.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But the conversation doesn't have to stop here.
Keep thinking, keep questioning.
Exactly. Until next time, keep those senses turned inward.